Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl, Sherelle. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, and this ain't a podcast. I want to thank y'all for tuning in with me this Tuesday like y'all do every Tuesday. We got a great show in store for you. But before I go any further, make sure you click the button in your lower right corner and share this live with 3 friends you think will love the conversation. Tonight, you guys, we are discussing all things... I'm so sorry. I didn't want to put water. Okay, I'm so sorry, you guys. Tonight, we're discussing all things family matters. Specifically, blending families. I will have husband, author, and counselor, relationship expert David Goodin stopping by tonight to give us some tips and share not only why he is qualified to have this conversation with us, you guys, but what you can do to help blend your families a little bit more seamlessly and make the process flow a little more smoother. So before we get into it, you got to give me something you're grateful for. I'll go ahead and start. Today, I am grateful for God's grace and mercy, okay? Because when he show out and when the blessings rain down, y'all, they rain down. So I'm super excited for that. So yeah, make sure y'all drop something in the comment section that y'all are grateful for. I'm going to go ahead and get our guests in here, you guys. And give me 1 second. Let me see. Water. I don't even know, y'all. I have water because my throat is dry, right? And I don't know where it is right now. And you know what? Before I get our special guest on, let me share this live with 3 friends. I think we'll love this conversation, y'all. So let's see. Okay, so let's see. I sent it. So let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Let me see. All right. Sometimes the internet be interneting, y'all, okay? Okay, let's see. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. Second. So, David, I'm inviting you. Once I send the invite, it should give you the option to click join, and then you should accept it so that we can bring you on. My sleeve is up. So, let's see. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what's happening. Let's see. Yo, I am looking at these eyebrows. I ain't gonna lie. We're gonna get this figured out in the meantime while we working on that, y'all. Make sure y'all click the link in my bio and subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? I have been uploading old episodes that did not get the shine that they deserve. Well-deserved episodes, okay? Uploaded to our YouTube channel. Make sure you go ahead and click the link in the bio, subscribe, leave a comment, and let us know that you are watching those episodes. I am not sure what's happening here. Let me see. Okay. Let's see, y'all. But I keep looking at my eyebrows just to see, like, how nice they are. One is, like, more round and one's more, like, flat and arched. But they look nice, y'all. They look nice. Okay? So, I'm coming in with the pony today. It's giving cute and basic. Cute and basic. So, let's see. I'm not sure what's happening, you guys. Okay. So, let me see something here. Let me see. David, is it giving you the option? Can you hear me? Is it giving you the option to join? Ah, there we go. Let me see something here.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh.
Hey again.
I had to get off the laptop.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem at all.
Okay. Are you getting it set up now?
I And since I'm going to have to use that, let me see. Give me about 30 seconds, okay?
Okay, take your time.
All right, 30 seconds. Let me see what I'm doing here. Okay, all right, hold on. I'm going to let you look at the sky. Hold on.
Okay. You guys, he is so nice. Like, he is just really nice and really sweet. I'm here for it. I see you guys joining. As you guys join in, make sure you drop something in the comment section that you are grateful for. And if you guys are new here, I do ask that you click the link in the bio, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take a look and watch some of the great episodes that we had. Some of the newest content that has been uploaded is the series that I did back in February called Love, A Black Man's Perspective, where I sat down with several Black men throughout the month of February to discuss different aspects of love, including dating exclusively, death of a spouse, divorce, and more. So if you want to watch that series, you think that's something you might be interested in, make sure you click the link in the bio, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and give it a watch. And make sure you leave a comment while you're there. Just a few more moments here. We're going to let Mr. Goodin get situated. And we're going to kick off a good episode tonight, you guys. I'm super excited. Make sure you guys drop something in the comment section that you're grateful for. I'm super excited. He is a nice gentleman, wise too. Absolutely. I definitely agree. Grateful for life and health. Me too. I said today that I'm grateful for God's mercy. That's something that never fails me. Oh, here we go.
Okay, let me see. All right. My wife told me to stop showing those yellow things in the background. Okay, here we go. Okay. You said you have to say something that you're grateful for?
Yes, you do. That's how we have to kick off the show.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm grateful for.
Okay.
I'm grateful that God has allowed us to see a day that no human being has ever seen before. But we get to see it.
Amen.
Okay.
I'm here for it.
All right. All right.
I'm so excited. Okay, so we honestly had a really good conversation prior to this. You guys, we actually chopped it up a little before we went live with you all. But let's get into it, Mr. Goodin. You are a husband, a father, author, and a counselor, right? And a lot of, maybe a little bit more, social media knows you because you recently went viral within about maybe 3 weeks ago, and the Shade Room picked it up. And it was basically discussing a little bit about you saying how your son came to terms with that you were never coming to his game. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, number one, my wife and I have been married 37 years. And we have a total of 9 children. I had 6 by 4 different women. She had 2 by 2 different men, and then we adopted a niece.
Okay.
So now we have 20 grandchildren and a set of great grandkids that are twins, a boy and a girl, and they're both 8 years old. Right? Okay. But what happened because of my colorful past, when, before I met my wife, I'm originally from outside Cleveland, and I came to Atlanta, and at that time I was a drug addict and a drug dealer. And I met this lady about a year later, and she was telling me that if we were going to date, that I had to go to church. And I told her I don't do church. I said, I only drive by churches, because I used to also be a concert promoter where I did concerts with people like the Ohio Players, Bootsy Collins, Shaka Khan, David Ruffin, people. Yeah, but there were church people there asking me, was I going to go to church the next day, that Sunday? But they was looking at the same women I was looking at and asking me if I was going to church. And I said, well, I don't think I'm going to go tomorrow because that's football day. All right. But she was wearing a pair of Daisy Dukes. And I tell my kids, my daughters, I said, Beyonce didn't have nothing on your mama.
Oh, snap that.
And so what I did, I showed them a picture of it, and they couldn't argue at all. So I think when she told me I had to go to church, I was looking at those Daisy Dukes. And I said, well, maybe I can go 1 or 2 times. Okay. But anyway, she didn't know what she was getting into. You know, she was just a hard-working single mom. You know, the only drugs that she come around probably was aspirins. You know, so she didn't know what I was into. But anyway, God had delivered me overnight in the back seat of a cab, you know, from drugs, as if I'd never done it before in my life. It was just gone clean turkey. And so I decided I was going to go to church for real, and I started going to church. And then when God started to change my life, I looked back and I saw how I just wasn't there for all my kids. And I wanted my kids, you know, to be with me. And so when we got married, we had two, but all of a sudden I wanted all my kids to come. And at this time, my wife's only 24 years old. And she got this dude she got two kids. She got this dude who want to bring his 4 kids into a 3-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
With us, you know, every other weekend, some came to stay with us, you know, for a couple of weeks during the summer. And we were just so unskilled. And we started going through a lot of hell, you know, dealing with outside parents. And sometimes you're just not dealing with outside parents. You're dealing with outside boyfriends, girlfriends, because they have an opinion on what's going on in your household now.
Yeah.
And we reached out to people. We reached out to people in our church, but there was nobody that could help us with the dynamics that we were actually going through. And I remember my wife in tears looking up and saying, where are the women in the church that help us through this? And now she's that woman to hundreds of other ladies.
I love that.
But we didn't know that God was grooming us to be to other people what we couldn't find.
Exactly.
Yeah. So went through. I just saw so many things that I did wrong when my eyes were really open. I saw a lot of women that I totally destroyed their lives.
Wow.
You know, how I just left my children's mother. And I mean, just on the spur of the moment, walked out.
Wow.
You know, but.
So I want to ask you, I'm sorry to cut you off. Let's talk about what happened in your childhood growing up that got you to the drug dealing, to the using drugs. Like, what happened in your past that got you to that point and eventually got you to the point where you were just leaving your children?
Didn't have an example. I actually was a product, you know, when I was born out of wedlock.
Okay.
And my name was changed 3 times before I was 7. Because my mother's maiden name was Anderson, and then first man she married was Thompson. It changed to Thompson. How I got my father's name, David Goodin, I do not know to this day. But
wow,
I also know that he could have drove to my grandmother's house in 5 minutes. In the 7 years I was there, I can't remember one time that he did.
Wow.
And so then we moved, because I was born outside Dayton, right at their Central State and Wilberforce University. And then we moved up outside about 27 miles west of Goodin. And we were always moving. You know, my mother had 5 kids by 3 different men. And I remember even going to school is that.
Okay. Let me see.
I dropped out of high school.
Okay. Your signal looks like it's going in and out. It's getting shaky for me.
It is. It's looking good on this end.
Yeah, it's going out. Do I look good? I don't know. If
you're perfect. Yeah. You sound perfect.
Yep, yours is going out on my end. Let me see
right.
1 second though.
Let me see here.
Okay. Okay, it looks good. It looks good now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right. But I ended up dropping out of high school after flunking the 9th grade twice.
Wow.
And then the first 2 girls I had sex with, both of them got pregnant. Then I got married right when I turned 19, and had no skill, had a good stepfather that I didn't give enough credit for while he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
And but just didn't have the role models, you know. So and no responsibility, but I would always work, you know. But my first wife, we were married for 5 years, and I ended up leaving her and moved directly in with another woman.
What? Why?
Because drugs were bad. Okay. You know, they were bad. And then I ended up leaving her.
Wow.
I was with the next woman for 5 years. And one night I just got up, walked out, started packing. And she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "You know, I'm out of here. I'm done." And she said, "What?" And it was cold. And she walked out to the car and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I am just going. That's all there's to it." And I left.
Wow.
And so I would always do those things, and with no conscience whatsoever.
Wow.
No
So
conscience.
it is true. So it is true. It's very true that men and women, because I don't want to just say it's just men, but most of the time we see that, you know, you hear men doing it, that you just do it with no conscience.
Yeah, no conscience, because you but I grew up in an era where of drugs.
Yeah.
Where you can get anything. Okay, you had cocaine, weed, whatever you want. It was in abundance. And when you're the drug dealer, you end up becoming your biggest customer yourself. And then everything is downhill. So we left Ohio in the middle of the night.
Wow.
And to show you how irresponsible I was, the night I got married, I just turned 19. But the night I got married at the reception, it hit me that there was something I hadn't figured out. And that was, where are we going to live? I didn't have a house, didn't have an apartment, didn't have anything. People gave us money, so we got a hotel room, you know, until that ran out. But my parents should have had me better prepared than that. They should have asked me questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't. So when I get to in Atlanta and I have this experience with God, all of a sudden, you know, I just want to do things right and want to do things different, you know. And I started trying to do some things different. And then we went to Jacksonville, Florida in 2002 to start a church with a nephew of ours that we were there for 13 years. It grew to about 4,000 people. But it was the first time that I saw an upfront example of how a family is supposed to be, how a man is supposed to relate to his wife, and how you are supposed to relate to your children. When my children, I was a taskmaster, you know. My daughter, I remember telling my kids when they were teenagers that if I tell you to do something and you say something back to me, that's a privilege. Because you ain't got nothing. There was no communicating with me, you know, at all. That was me. When I got to Jacksonville and I saw this stuff, and it was like, God, I said, man, I screwed up a lot of stuff with my kids. Like what you saw, what my son said about the trophies. Yeah. And different things. Yeah. Oh, we were at our son's, one of our son's vow renewal with his wife this past weekend. I'm still finding out things that our kids wouldn't even tell us. Wow. We didn't know that one of our sons who went into the military, that he actually had 3 scholarships to come out of when he came out of high school. We never even knew that. We just found out this past week when him and another one of my sons was talking that another one of our sons, you know, the one that was in the video, never knew he actually spent a weekend trying out for the Atlanta Falcons. What? The reason that they didn't tell us these things is because one of our sons, the one that went in the military, he said we had so much going on with the other kids because he was the good one. So we kind of left him alone. But he said we didn't have time for them. But he said he needed us as much as everybody else did. So he just left and went into the military. Wow. So we're still hearing things, but 6 of our kids had to come to Jacksonville while we were there. And this is where we started to get our relationships together. And we started just trying to be there. A lot of parents think that if you've missed out on your children's life, it's over. No, it's not. The only thing that your children want to see is effort, a consistent effort in trying, just being there for them. Because now a lot of fathers don't want to do that because they don't think they deserve to come into a child's life that is doing good, and it's not because of them, but in spite of them. Amen. Yeah. But children always want a relationship with their parents. I know men that tear up in their 50s, almost 60, when they think about how their father wasn't there for them. Mm-hmm. But they still want that relationship. It's just that we just have to keep reaching out, just be there for them. When they need something, our kids would come down, and if they said, hey, can you help me out with this electric bill? It's like $140. We sent them $300 because we know that after you pay that, you still ain't got no money. They started paying attention to that, and they know we don't loan money to our children. And now they do the same thing to us. But all of our kids, which we have tremendous relationship with every last one of them now, it took about 15 years to do that. But they all say the same thing. Something happened to y'all when you went to Jacksonville, Florida. And what it was, we saw real live examples of what a family and how you raise children and so on and so forth. And then I ended up mentoring about 200 men while I'm down there. Wow. And on that video with my son, I asked him, what did he think when he came to Jacksonville in a room that's sometimes with 80 men, and they're coming there to hear what I got to say. And he said, well, I thought it was interesting, especially you talking about how to be a father. Okay. And he said, I didn't have a problem with it because I knew you was you was a good dude. He said, but you had all, because I came, you had started putting time in with me.
Oh, yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah. So he said, I didn't do that. But all the kids, even my wife had one of our daughters, because we had so much pressure. My wife had so much pressure on her trying to deal with all these different dynamics and kids and so on and so forth. I remember one of our daughters, when she was in school, she told her teacher, their teacher asked her something about her mother, and she said, my mother died.
Wow.
Yeah, but she had. But that's the kind of strain, that we have. Now you can't separate them. You can't. Because they have to see that consistent effort, with you trying to be there, because the children always determine, if the relationship is going to be restored.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. Let's talk about that. I think you hit a lot of good points, and I want to talk about some things. The one thing that you constantly reiterate was being able to accept the fact that you did damage in multiple lives. You did damage. How do you handle that guilt? Because sometimes that guilt is too much. So how do you accept the damage that you've done and come to a point where you can admit that and wait, someone's saying you can't hear sound. Can you guys hear me? Can anybody else verify that you guys can hear me? Can you hear me, hear me fine, Mr. Goodin?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Audience members, can you guys hear me? Can I get like 2 or 3 people just to comment and let me know if you guys can hear me? So let's do something here. Instagram is hating on us. They trying to do all type of stuff today. We ain't gonna go for it. Okay, I got one person that they can hear me. Okay, so if you can't hear us, I would suggest clicking out and clicking back in, and also adjusting the volume on your phone if you can't hear us. Okay, so let's talk about that. How do you face that guilt that a father or a mother may have on their strained relationship with their child? How do we deal with that?
You said a mother having a strained relationship with her child?
Or father. How do parents begin to accept, their role in their strained relationship with their parents, and how do you deal with the guilt of what you've caused?
Well, one of the things that I say, to a lot of men and a lot of women about men, and sometimes if it's women too, is sometimes growing up when we're so irresponsible, we just innocently don't know what we don't know, because all we know is what we know.
Right.
But when we learn better or seek to do better, then what we do is we do better. But we have to know that, and you probably heard me say this here, is that when your children are grown, they will tell you how they feel about how you were there for them or how you wasn't when they were growing up. Oh. Now, here's what a lot of parents do. When their children say that, what they say is, well, you just don't know where I was at that time.
Oh. yeah.
you don't know what I was going through at that time. You know, that right there, the prophet Confucius used to say, shut your mouth. Because the words, the response that you're looking for is, I am so sorry. Because see, depending on, and what can I do now? Because depending on how you handle that response will determine if that child reaches out to you again, or you get chewed out, or if you can, or you'll have the beginning of restoring maybe a 10 to 20 year relationship. Because most cases, they waited 10 to 20 years before they even said it to you.
Bingo. That's the one.
Yeah, but you got to handle it right.
Yeah.
You know, when they say that, and restoration can take place in the relationship.
I absolutely agree. I cannot agree more. So I do want to ask, because we talk about a lot. You mentioned how you have to deal with outside family. Well, you know what? Let's back it up. Let's talk about blending the families. Mm-hmm. What do you, when you got a blended family, you come in with a child. We're gonna start from my perspective because I'm a woman. So I come in with a child. My boyfriend comes in with a child. What do you think is the first conversation or first step that we need to take when it comes to blending this family?
Number one, you got to dumb down your expectations.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about dumb down these expectations. Like what?
Yeah. Well, here's the normal thing that people say. You know, when you're getting ready to get with somebody, you have a child, or they got a child or children. They say to themselves, and they really mean this when they say it. Okay. It's not like they blowing smoke. Is that, you know, I'm gonna treat your children just like they're mine. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Because they're not. Okay? You know, they're not. And what has to happen is that you have to understand that we tell people what you want to do when you come in with into a household with somebody else's children. The first thing you want to do is get to know that child. Mm-hmm. You want to take about a year just to develop a friendship with them. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then once you develop a friendship with them, going into that second year, you know, you'll start to see that they kind of included you into the family, and after that, you'll hear them relate to their friends. Oh, that's my stepmom. Oh, that's my stepdad. Oh, that's my mom. That's my dad. Because it's something that's earned, not demanded.
There you go.
And you have to understand that when you bring children into another environment where they had their parents together, you're asking them to accept a version of family that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
And it takes children at least 2 to 3 years to emotionally adjust to a version of family they've never seen before. Because number one, they still holding out that their parents get back together. Whew. They do. They do that. But if you do that friendship with the children, and sometimes we tell parents you have to play good cop, bad cop. And the way to win the children over is when, say, you're there and the biological parent is being hard on them, take up for the child. Take up for the child. Say, well, no, you don't want to do that. No, why don't you let them do this? And then the child is saying to themselves, gosh, she really trying to help me. Uh-huh. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. That's how you do it. You know, but you and your husband, you know, or your boyfriend, y'all know what y'all doing. But it's called wisdom to do it this way. And then sometimes, you know, say your boyfriend or your husband?
Boyfriend.
All right. Say your boyfriend's kids are coming over. Right? When the kids are there, one of the things that you want to say is that in front of the child, hey, why don't y'all go hang out with just two of y'all? Why don't y'all go hang out today? You don't have to take all of us all the time. You don't have to prove anything to me like, you know, you're not going to take my... No. Why don't you y'all go and do something together by yourselves. And what happens is that stepchild looks, and they look at you and they say, God, that's really something I really like to do sometime. You know? And what you do, you start building trust with that child. You know, and because those are things, you know, that you want to do. Now, depending on how that outside parent is dealing, you got to always make sure you don't say nothing negative about them, because you can't control, what they don't do. You can be doing everything right, reaching out, so on and so forth, and getting your fingers cut off, your arms cut off. It just depends. But before you get into the relationship, you talk about all of that. What you do is you check out all that. What's your relationship with your kids? Is with her mom? What are y'all doing? Matter of fact, are you paying child support, or are you paying it through the court? Okay, what's the court order say? All right, that's what the court order say. Because if me and you really decide to go ahead and get married, are there anything that needs to change? Right? Court orders are good. And the reason that court orders are good is because it lets you know what your life is going to be like.
Yeah.
Instead of wondering. I remember before I went to child support court, one time I was sitting next to my wife, and my boy's mother called. And she was saying, I thought you was going to get something over here this weekend, and so on and so forth. And I act like she was my brother on the phone. And said, yeah. And she said, and she just kept on. Then she got to fussing and cussing. And I said, well, no. I said, man, I done told you. Well, let me see if I can come on there, if I can help you out. Okay, I told you that tire was going to get ready to go. I was getting cussed out on the other end. And I said, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. And I hung up the phone. Said, who was that? Said, oh, shoot, that was so-and-so. Always, I told him he needed to change that tire. He just, he's doing it, just wanted me to come help him, but he got somebody else that'll do it. Those kind of things happen, with that. But when you go to court, and you get those things, I hear a lot of brothers, I hear a lot of brothers say, man, how come I just can't give you some money? Because you ain't going to do it all the time like you should. And
that's what I'm...
Yeah, you can't. And plus, you need to know, it's like my mom told me. She said, you need to go ahead and do it through the court, David, because that way you know what you got coming out every month, and she know what she got coming in. Yeah, but she said, you got the easy part, because all you got to do is have that come out your check. She still got the day-to-day operation of raising them children every day, making sure that they get to school, making sure that they get home, making sure that they eat, go to sleep, all that. You on with your next lady, which I did have one, and she got a couple kids, so you helping them. So y'all got two incomes, because you got hers helping you and yours is helping her. Said she ain't got but the one. She said, so, and when they need something else, don't come up with that sorry line, talking about she get child support, don't you? Do with that. She said, there ain't enough money, to do anything like that. And when I thought about it, my mother had 5 kids, and I can't remember one time she ever got child support or money from any of the kids' fathers.
Wow.
I can't remember one time, not one time, but she was a stickler. She was a stickler on that. And she said if she asked for some more, if it ain't enough, said if she asked for something, if the kids are in sports or something like that, just go ahead and do it. Because here's why you got to go ahead and do it. Just like what you said with my son, said that he had to convince himself that I was never coming to a game.
Yeah.
It's because you don't understand that your kids is paying attention. If you're making up excuses, what you can do and what you can't, while they watch their mama struggle. They don't forget that. That don't. If my son at 5 years old can, in his 30s, could remind me of the night that I left him at 5 years old and his brother at 3, if he could remember that night and everything that happened at 5, what do you think 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds are thinking?
Exactly.
They know exactly what's going on. And so when you got a mom or a dad or somebody who's keeping the other parent from seeing the child don't know that, because they hear you on the phone with them. They know what you're telling them, but all the child wants you to do is keep giving the effort. Because one day they'll tell their mama about what you really did. And so when turn 18, 19, can do what they want to do, you know, then that's all they waiting on. Because they'll know who kept who from who. So you let them do it. But we as men, we can't come up with excuses why we can't just be making a consistent effort so that our children know. If she hang up on you, if she say, no, you're not coming to get them this weekend or whatever, let the kids see that you called 3 times that weekend and that you tried, rather than your dad, shoot, your dad ain't called and asked if he could come get y'all or see y'all in the last 3 months. The kids know what's going on.
They do.
They do. So I just wanted, so when I knew better, when I learned, and I saw the devastation of things that I did to women, and this is what's so sick. When you do things, look back and you see what you did to women who actually cared about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they actually cared about you, you know, and you can treat them, you know, like this, you know, with no conscience, you know, of really what you're doing. And so what I do is that I try to help other men that were in a situation like me and encourage women who are in a situation like me, like I was, you know, but didn't have an advocate that could articulate to us men what we really ought to do and how we do it. We can't be ashamed because we don't know what to do. You know, what we can do is that we need to find out some things. There's some information. Find you a mentor, somebody that you would like to be like, and then be transparent and say, you know what? Hey, man, I just don't know what to do. Tell her. Because see, what happens in so many relationships, you have a lot of women that get with men in relationships, and they expect some things to be common sensely known by a man that was never modeled before him or imparted into him to even be in him, to have in him to show to you. And so then usually when the woman calls him out on the carpet and says, God, you don't even know this. Not what he does, he gets angry.
Yeah.
Because his feelings are hurt. Yeah. He won't say, you know what, I just need to get better at this. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna do this. We don't know to do that. So what I like to do is teach men how to do that, you know, and also with the moms that get in these situations, just you got to know who you're getting involved with. Like I told you earlier, we got 31 questions that we ask couples before we start the first session. This is what they look like. I'm just giving you a couple of them. Starts out with how long have you known each other? All right, say like your boyfriend. How old were you guys when you got together?
Well, we just got together. Okay. So I'm 29, he's 33. We've only known each other a month and some change. Okay.
All right. Then let me tell you what's happening.
Okay.
You think that's two mature people that are getting ready to come together, okay?
I do. I like to think, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, but let me tell you what's really getting ready to happen.
Oh.
All right. You got a 29-year-old.
Okay, me.
That has grown up, coming up on this side of the mountain. Mm-hmm. You know, in a family environment. Mm-hmm. You know, having different life-altering experiences with their family. Mm-hmm. That is responsible for your current mindset and how you think the world ought to be. So then you got this guy that's coming up on the other side for 32 years, and he's having different experiences. He's in a different environment, and he's having different life-altering experiences that is responsible for his current mindset and how he thinks the world ought to be.
Right.
So what you're doing in reality is that you're getting ready to bring 61 years of history up under one roof, and ain't nobody going home. And now you get ready to find out all the little things that irk you about him, and he irked you about you. You be saying, God, I didn't know you like that. You know, he's probably saying, God, I didn't know you did it like that. you know, all that. Like, you know, you look at each other, you know, when they sleep, said, man, I didn't know you had a toe jacked up like that. Golly, man, what's that spot on you? What is that? So now you do all these things that you do, and it usually takes about 2 to 3 years to really get to know a person. But see, usually when it don't happen in the first year, that's when both people are saying to themselves, God, did I make a mistake? Did I? No, now the person is cool. You know, what it is, you just didn't take the time to know them. Now you're getting ready to know them. But also you have to remember this. If it's somebody you care about and somebody that cares about you, that is supposed to be the safest place to show my weaknesses. Because see, men don't talk much. So if you get a man to open up, then depending on how you handle what he's trying to open up the first time will determine if he'll open up again. Because men don't open up like that. So that's why it's very important, you know, how you, with women, with facial expression, body language, tone, all of that. Because see, there's a lot of women that are having conversations with men, and those 3 things ain't right. He checked out 30 seconds into the conversation. They talked for 10 minutes and thought they got their point across, not knowing he ain't seen nothing but your lips moving the whole time. Because it's how you package the package. Yeah. And if your information, if when you're communicating with a man, if your communication is more informational and instructional than building up and edifying, you know, don't work too good. Because now you sound like mama. Okay?
I like that.
Okay.
I like that one. Let me see. Okay, so we have questions there. So I told people we're going to talk about these blending these families. So the first step when it comes to blending these families, you say that they should sit down, they should have a conversation. We need to know where everybody's coming from. And I'm sorry, wait. I think have a conversation, but I think you mostly said was to get to know the children, get to know the kids, to build that trust, because it is definitely earned. Not
it is. You let's see. How long have you been together? If you both go to church, are you both believers? Do you go to the same church? How old are you? Did you both have both parents growing up in the household, or did you just have one? If you did, what was their relationship like? Okay. Did they express love for one another? And if so, what ways did they do it? All right. How did they resolve conflict? You know, could they have a conversation without somebody getting mad, not talking for 3 or 4 days, or throwing something on the floor? Or could they do that? You know, those are things. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did your father make you feel loved by him, and how did he show it? How much did your mother, on a scale of 1 to 10, make you feel loved, and how did she show it? Said, if you didn't have both your parents growing up, were you raised by your mother or your father? If you were raised by your mother, what was that like? Even though your father wasn't in the same household, what kind of relationship did you have with him, and what is it like now?
Let's talk. I think you brought up a really good question. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about when we're dealing with fathers parenting outside the house. Now this we can do a blended family, but we can do a man with no kids dating a woman with a child, and then we got a father outside of the home that's parenting. How can this work? What are some steps or some advice that you would give them to initially take and to make sure that they can blend seamlessly or smoother?
One of them doesn't have any kids, and one of them has one outside.
Yep.
Okay, that's a pretty good way to start, because there's some people that say we're counseling somebody that got 10. Wow. Okay, that they're bringing together. That's a different story. So if you only got one, that you're coming in, that's called a step family.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because a blended family is when both of you have children coming in and you have one together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what they.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a nuclear family is when you have a couple and they have, and all the children in the house, are biologically theirs.
Okay.
There's nobody else.
I've heard of the nuclear family. Okay.
Yeah. And, but same thing, you got to talk, got to be transparent. You want to know, what was your relationship with the child's mother? What's your relationship with your child? And what is it getting ready to be now that I'm in the picture?
Yeah.
Those are things that you can talk about. Someone like you would reach out to a mom and say, hey, anything I can do to make your job better? Anything, uh, uh, anything you want me to know about your child, then let me know. And I'm willing to do it. And you'll have some women that will say, oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. And so other ones will say, I don't need to tell you nothing about my child. They have a completely different attitude.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And sometimes you can't do anything with that, but sometimes it begins to mellow out, because the child is, when they come to visit you, and when they go back, of course, the parent wants to know, well, how was it over there?
Yeah.
And sometimes what makes the outside parent upset is that they like you. All right. When they should like you, they ought to be glad that the child likes you, because if you're going to be in this child's life, the only reason this child like you is because there's something that, some kind of way you're treating them that makes them respect you. So you ought to be glad, for that. But sometimes it's kind of hard to do that. But you just got to know, what are all the moving pieces that we got? Child support. What's your relationship there? How is it here? What about grandparents? Are there grandparents, active in there? And now here's another thing too. We do pre-relationship blended family counseling, which means, do y'all even need to get into a relationship?
Oh my God. Not that one.
All right.
Oh my.
All right. We also do pre-engagement blended family counseling to determine, do y'all even need to get engaged? Because when it comes to blended families, depending on all the dynamics, you can have two people that love each other, but they don't need to get married.
Wow.
Because, see,
yeah.
60% of first-time marriages end up in divorce, and mostly because of money, struggling, going through things. But 80% of those people who marry again a second time end up in divorce. This time, not because of money, but because of children.
What?
It's because of children. Because children are going to determine if this relationship makes it and how good it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So even pre-relationship counseling, depending on how many kids, how many moms and dads you got on the outside. These are things that you just can't go in, but I'm gonna treat kids like they're my own. I'm gonna do that, and no, because you're gonna have a third eye and a third ear that we call, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna see how he talked to his kids in what tone, how he talked to your kids in what tone. What does he do for his kid? You ain't even paying attention, but you just got this third eye and third ear, which is normal.
Yeah.
And he will do the same. But if you know these things going in, it makes it a whole lot easier. If you go in and you don't know, and you can't get traditional counseling, and because they don't, it's just like in churches. I was saying, I was telling someone, like, we're really getting ready to try to train some people in blended family counseling in churches.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is that we still teach as if man is the majority of households in households and families.
No.
They are
Right.
not. It is women that are. But we're still teaching it. And so what happens is that, you know, the men go to these things, they hear what they're supposed to do, you know, and what a real man does and so on and so forth. But they're sitting there next to their wife and she's amening in the corner. Yes, indeed, he's so on and so forth. But he's saying to himself, who's going to talk to my sharp mouth controlling? Don't know how to give an encouraging word to me, wife. They don't even touch on her on doing that, not knowing that you can tell in counseling sessions for the last 25 years, we can tell in 15 minutes who really run the house. Who really runs the house. Yeah. You know, so we're not doing that when actually 70% of our congregations are blended families. Wow. I was in a men's meeting where they had 800 men that showed up for a convention, which was powerful. And I was talking to one of the leaders and I said, you know what, to really make impact when you got that, when you want to know where men are, the first question that you have to ask men is, how many of you have children outside your home? Woo. At least 500 will stand up. Wow. That lets you know what you're dealing with and how you're going to have to minister to him, you know, and help him with the challenges that he's actually dealing with children in his house and children outside his house. Right. But we can't teach it like everybody is biologically connected. Exactly. It's not that way.
Yeah, you're missing so much. So I do want to ask you. So I want to give you a couple of scenarios. Give me 2 pieces of advice. Mm-hmm. I'll give you 3 scenarios. Give me 2 pieces of advice for each scenario for these people to approach the situation better. So we got a single mother that's dating and wants to make that transition to blend, or it'll be a step family. I think you said a step. What advice would you give? What 2 pieces of advice would you give to a single mother looking to, you know, introduce her child into her boyfriend or whatever?
Well, number 1, you don't do it right off. You know, because what it is, sometimes too many ladies bring too many guys around their children.
There you go.
And so what ends up happening, you know, but they innocently, not knowing what they're doing, you know, when it gets to the point, you don't bring, what you do is you tell the child, you say, hey, I'm dating Jimmy right now, but I told him he can't meet you yet because I don't know if he's worthy enough to meet you. Yeah. So he's got to prove to me that he is good enough to meet you. The child loves hearing that. All right. Because, you make me a problem, so he ain't getting in unless, you know, I kind of like, you know, we gonna be okay. Because when you bring different guys around, then what happens, it gets to a point that the child can say, Mom, later on, just say, Mom, where's Bob?
Yep.
Mom, where's Jimmy? Mom, where's Al? You know, Mom, where's Luther? Where's this? Then what you're doing is that you don't know it, but unknowingly you are grooming your daughters and your sons to think that relationships don't last. Wow.
Yeah.
So it becomes a normal.
Okay, so the number 1 piece, not too soon. You don't do it too soon.
No.
Actually, what would be a good time frame?
You know, I've told single women this, is that when you see a guy you're really interested in, observe him from a distance for about 6 months. See how he is in his zone. He don't even know you're interested. See how he deals with people. You know, what's his opinion on hot topics. You know, see if he argues with people when something don't go his way. You know, how does he do? Just observe from a distance. How does he talk about his kids if he has one? Does he really take care of them? You know, just observe. You know, and how does he talk about his family? Does he even talk about his family? You know, does he have a close-knit family or whatever? You just kind of observe from a distance before before you just jump in there.
Okay. Yeah. And then what would be your second piece of advice for a single mother?
Number one, take her time. Don't see relationships break up because of things when you get together, because of things that you saw and that you heard while you were dating. You just didn't pay attention because you thought that when you come in the picture, oh, this is going to get better. That's going to get better. When they showing you what it is. And I tell ladies all the time, start an argument with them. Start an argument just to see how they handle arguments. See if they try to take the blame, if they try to calm you down and say, baby, it's okay. No, that's not what I meant, or something like that. Because you don't want the man that's got to be calmed down. You want the one that's trying to calm you down.
Woo!
Okay?
That's
it's a different story.
That's a word right there. All right. That was a good one. Okay. I'm letting you know right now. That's going in the highlights.
Okay.
When I cut this up and add them, I'm putting that one in there because that is a good word. You do not want the man that got to be calmed down. You want the man that's calming you down.
That's it.
All right. I like that one. Okay. So second scenario, we got a blended family. Maybe they're each bringing one and one, and they're just having a hard time, whether it be from just getting something down with their schedules, disciplinary action. Like, what would be some steps? Two pieces of advice for them to, kind of make the transition smooth. Let's say they've been dating 2 years. They each brought one child. They're going through a rough patch. What advice would you give them?
Number one, when it comes to discipline, is that especially when you first get together that first year, only the biological parent should discipline their child. Now, I heard a guy on Instagram was talking about, he was saying, oh, so you want me to help you with this? You want me to help you with that? But you don't want me to discipline your child? What kind of thing is that? I said to myself when I was listening to him talk, I said, brother, I said, the more you talk, the more you show us what you really don't even know. Because you don't do that. Because not only are you thinking that you're going to discipline your girlfriend or your wife's child, that's somebody else's child. That ain't all your child that ain't all her child by herself. So what you want to do, that's something that you got to earn over a period of time. You got no business, thinking that you got to discipline that child, especially that first year that you coming around or something like that. No, you let the biological parent discipline that child. But and depending on the circumstances of what it is that you got going on, number one, seek some counseling. Because you need a third party, that can say stuff for you that is right. But sometimes, by us saying it in the heat of the moment, our spouses or significant others, they don't hear us.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
But we don't hear, and plus we just don't know how to package the package right. Sometimes. Yeah. But when you're dealing with sensitive situations and subjects, you only want to have those talks when everything is okay.
Absolutely.
Not when you got a little tension there.
Yeah.
Somebody got to pull and say, we'll talk about this later. You got to talk about those things when everything is fine.
I agree. Okay, and this is my last one. This actually changed because I want to ask. So I don't have another scenario, but I got something that you mentioned earlier: expectations. When you're blended families, what would you say are two expectations maybe that you should have, and maybe two expectations that you shouldn't have when you're going into blended families?
Dumb down the expectations. Okay. All right. It's better to undercommit so that you can over deliver.
There you go. I love
because
that.
if you overcommit and then you can't deliver.
Now,
now, you didn't keep your word.
Yep.
So what you do is you dumb down our expectations, not putting too much pressure on either one, because what it is, you're going into something that you've never really been into, but so is everybody else.
Absolutely.
That is doing it. So you have to, and you got different personalities. My wife talks all the time about the different personalities that she had to deal with, that she was not equipped for, that caused her to respond in the wrong way.
Right.
That caused me to respond in the wrong way because of things I did. I had a son when we got married. On the day that we got married, he comes up to me, my stepson, and he said, Dave, he said, now you and mom married. Does that mean, I call you dad? And I said, no, I'm not your father. This is your father over here. Crushed that young man. Because I didn't have the wherewithal of what he was even asking me at that time, because I was so ill-equipped, and didn't know what I was doing. You have to, you got to dumb it down. Even when you have children, if you say, this is a big one right here, I'm gonna leave you with, is children coming over for the summer. One of the things that we do, our kids are grown now, is that when it comes to holidays, what we started doing is that we would, with our family, me and Cynthia, we would get together with our kids the week before. Because some of our kids grown now, they got their own families.
Right.
They got in-laws. So they want to do that way on the holiday, everybody can do what they want. And when it comes to summer, with kids coming over for the summer, I'll never forget a lady she just lit me up on this here. There was a couple that was really going through it, and the wife was getting ready to move out. And I was called over there by the husband. And this is what she told me. She said, I love his kids. And she said, but they come over for Thanksgiving. They come over for Christmas. And she said, now they're coming for the summer. She said, when do I get a break?
Oh.
She said their mom gets a little vacation every time, but when do I get a break? And she was in tears when she said it. So what we tell couples is that when it comes to holidays, or when it comes to summers, what you do is y'all carve out a time in the summer where you be able to do something with your own kids. And then when those kids come over, let them know, hey, when the kids come over, like this 3 weeks right here would work perfect for us.
Yeah.
Because you still y'all have to have time.
Yeah.
To have time to yourself, instead of having,
right.
Multiple children through the whole summer, and the other parent got it made. It's just a balance. Just things you're going to look at.
I love that. I think that was a great way. I love that. Mr. Goodin, I want to thank you for your time and being such an amazing guest today. I truly enjoyed you, and I cannot wait for everybody to watch this episode back. I know they're going to love it. Thank you for coming. Oh, this is what I got to say. So we have to go out. First off, before we do that, you got to tell the people where they can get your book and any upcoming events that you have.
Okay. They can get the book at davidgoodin.com.
All right.
And it's a pretty good one. I was reading it myself just a few days ago. I said it's pretty good. Okay. I forgot that I wrote it. Okay. All right. Really some good stuff. But davidgoodin.com, they can get the book there. Also have another book. It's called, well, that didn't work. So, but there, and we're getting ready to do some blended family lives. Okay. We're trying to get some curriculums. We want to get some classes, that will open up, to where people can come in and they can learn some things, because we really want to get the information out there to people who innocently just don't know what they don't know, but they're trying from a good place in their heart, but it ain't working and they don't know why. because they need this information.
Absolutely. Okay, and they can also find you on Instagram at your Instagram name is David Goodin. Is it underscore or maybe am I missing?
Just David E. Goodin.
David E. Goodin. There we go.
Yeah.
So we got to talk the same way we came in. I'll let you go first. You got to give us something you're grateful for.
Okay. Let's see. I'll tell you what I'm most grateful for is that me and my wife are still married after 37 years. Amen. And the relationships that I have with every one of our children. It's Absolutely. A dream. It doesn't happen like that in real life. There's nothing that will ever happen to me in my life that will ever be more important to me than that.
And I can't agree. I could not agree more. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go out the same way I came in. I want to send a huge thank you to our special guest tonight, Mr. David E., as well as all our beautiful viewers. I know I did see someone ask where you can watch this episode back. You can watch this episode back tonight on our Instagram page, or you can check it out at noon tomorrow on our YouTube channel, which is where I prefer that you go, so that you can subscribe and comment and share with it there. And I will go out the same way as well. I am grateful tonight for tonight's episode because I'm sure not only did I need this episode, I'm sure plenty of my guests and beautiful viewers did as well. And so, yeah, that's all I got. Make sure you guys follow myself and Mr. David E. Goodin on Instagram as well. My name is Sherelle Carter, you guys. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, and this ain't a podcast. I will see y'all next Tuesday. Peace.